Hey, welcome back to Tripod's Garage. Today we are going to be looking at the new laser engraver by WeCreat. It's called the Vision. It does something rather cool. I gotta show this first, really. I don't know who's more excited, either the laser or me, but watch this. How about that? That's the way it autofocuses. That is pretty darn cool. So let's take a deeper dive into this new laser by WeCreat the Vision and what sets it apart in comparison to its competition. Now, WeCreat claims this is a 5-in-1 machine because it has built-in air assist that's software controlled, has slats for your work surface, a smart camera for easy placement of parts, a auto lifting for autofocus, and an enclosure. So that's why they say it's a 5-in-1, because a lot of other companies will say, well, you got to pay extra for all of those. That's all included. Speaking of this enclosure, this is what's called a Class 1 enclosure. Because it's a Class 1 means that there is no laser light, and it's actually FDA approved per WeCreat, which means that you shouldn't have to wear safety goggles. Now, I'm always on the side of caution, and I always suggest still wearing safety goggles no matter what, because you know what? You only get one pair of eyes. Speaking of safety, say that you have someone coming by and they want to see, hey, what's going on inside this box? Well, if they lift up this, it will automatically pause the job because it has built-in sensors on the lid. And you also notice that it is really nicely lit. That is because on the inside, it has a nice light bar right here. And it also has a smart camera here for easy product placement for beginners and experts alike. Now this enclosure will raise 100 millimeters in height. It gives you ample height for those larger objects to engrave. And speaking about build volume, the inside is a 420 by 290 build surface, or laser surface, if you so choose to say. And this has removable slats. These slats are there to say that you want to cut something out. And those slats will allow the laser to pass through and reduce charring and make it a lot easier for the laser to pass through. And here is the laser module. This is a 20-watt laser module that'll cut up to 10 millimeters of basswood in a single pass. This has a laser dot accuracy of 0.08 by 0.08 and a movement accuracy of 0.01. It will also engrave up to a speed of 600 millimeters per second. And the module has a lifespan of about 10,000 plus hours. You notice it has a hose on here. Well, that's because this unit has a built-in air assist that is software controlled. Software controlled means that it will only turn on once the laser is actually activated. And you'll notice that it has drag chains for nice cable management. On the back, there is an exhaust port with a built-in fan. So you could use the included hose to vent out a window. Now I'm going to be using a air purifier, so I'm not going to be venting out the window during my tests. And you'll notice on the left side here, there's a hole. Well, that is for their rotary. That is where you place it. And you actually secure it down. Now when you're using the rotary, I suggest removing these slats because that'll give you more room for your tumblers if you so choose. And here is the port on the back. That port on the back is to plug in your rotary. And now as we come to the front of the machine, you notice that we have a little drawer here. Well, that's your crumb drawer. Now I suggest if you're moving the machine, just to prevent any damage from this, because your hands could go like underneath and push up on it. So during transport, I suggest taking this tray out and then push it back once you're done moving it to prevent denting it. And that is a quick overview of the inside of this WeCreat Vision and what makes it kind of unique. Now, WeCreat made a project repository in their Make It app. And I think this is a great idea to get people going, and maybe there's a project in here that you would like to do. All you have to do is click on a project, and this one's 99 cents. It tells you the time, 45 minutes, and 5 minutes to assemble. I think this is a great idea, and I look forward to doing some of these projects on my own. And I hope get my creative juices flowing. And next, we're going to actually unbox the laser and set it up. Of course, you could so choose to skip this step if you want. There'll be timestamps below. Now, this is a early release, and same with the software, so there could be something a little bit different that you would receive. And this is a really heavy box. It weighs over 60 pounds. The machine itself weighs about 42 pounds. As you can see, it's really, really well packed with stiff cardboard around all sides. And the foam on the sides is your riser for your, basically like your honeycomb bed, so to speak. This is where all your laser engravings will sit on your material, just in case if you want to do a pass-through. Foam underneath, just lift it up. Be careful of the tray underneath, not to get it squished. And there's some really, really strong tape holding the sides together here. Definitely want to remove that. And let's go ahead and turn it around here. Inside is where all your accessories are. And look, you got kitty cat and test. So they test the laser before it's sent to you. Inside, there's foam everywhere. In the middle, the sides, and on the bottom. So just make sure you remove all the foam. In the first test box, you got USB, you got some tools, an antenna, and a USB cable, power cable, power brick, and exhaust. And then in the other box, you have your air assist and your rotary. And that's about it for the accessories that are inside the machine. On the back, you're going to attach the exhaust adapter with the supplied nuts that are already on the machine. And then you're going to attach your Wi-Fi antenna. That's a pretty big antenna. Then plug in your air assist, and then your air assist pump hose, and followed by your power and USB. Look at that. Right when you turn it on, this is basically the home position as it for the autofocus. So it's going to be about this tall every time that you start your process. Now we're going to insert the two grates that are in there. They just line up. Both are mirror copies, so you can't really do it wrong. And peely time. Now that was a long peel. Now I am using a fume extractor with this unit, and you could also see that there's some like felt or something to help trap the air inside as it's exhausting, as the machine lowers and raises. First thing you want to do is download the WeCreat Make It software from the website, and we are going to do an update, a firmware update. And you'll also notice that there is a way to store this machine, and you do that within this app as well. You want to make sure the grates are removed when storing it, because it's going to lower the whole laser head. We're going to test engrave using a 3mm basswood, and we're going to just go ahead and pop this in. I'm going to line it up a little bit, not making it too challenging for the machine's camera. Now it's also going to be Lightburn compatible in the future. That's what it says on their website. And right now I'm just going to move this forward symbol in the upper left hand corner, and I'm going to click on autofocus. And you're going to see a red dot in there, and I assume that's how it's going to focus the laser. Now this is one of the most unique features. So I clicked on basswood, and now I can actually choose the darkness of the engrave. And when I click on the cell there, it automatically sets the tolerances on the right hand side for speed and power. Now I did make a mistake. You'll see there's a boundary box right there. Yeah, that's going to engrave as well. And I'm going to just click on Start Engraving. And then you're going to click on the button on the front of the machine to start the job. Now I also wanted to cut this out, and I'm going to just draw a rectangle around the forward and choose cut for the basswood. And you know, this has lots of similarities to other applications out there. You got all your tools on the left and the perimeters on the top. So we're going to just do the same thing and just execute the job here, and press the button to start it, and it turns green. Now this is the real-time speed. It's 8mm per second, cutting 3mm basswood, and it's doing a nice clean job. And we'll see how accurate it is once it finishes. And once it finishes, it actually raises the machine to the max height, and it will home the module in the upper left-hand corner. As we take it out, yeah, it cut really nice and clean, but my cut is way off. And that's a real nice engraving. And again, when we flip it around here, it's got not that much charring at all. Very clean cut, so we know the air assist is working well, but something is a little bit off with the camera. So I decided to do this build Ford tough. Okay, comment below. I know not everyone's a Ford truck fan, but I'm doing 2 layers. I'm going to do the engraving, and then I'm going to do a cutout. Let's see how well that works combined here. And I'm going to send it and see what happens. And with this, I also did bidirectional engraving. You can see the laser is actually going back and forth this time. It makes it a lot faster. So always use bidirectional if you choose to. It'll make your engraving go a lot faster. Now let's see how well it did. Of course, it for 3mm, it cut really nice. And I did go with a darker, more tone here. So you're going to see it's a little burnt. But the engraving is really nice, and the cut looks really, really good. And now my boundary box could be a little bit better, but it's just a test. So now we're going to try some Slate coasters, rock coasters, whatever you want to call them. And I'm going to try 2 of them because this laser can do batching. Batching means that you could put it on one and it will assign it to all the other objects. So let's go ahead and close the lid here, and let's go back into the software that WeCreat Make It. And I did a refresh so I could see it. I'm bringing my my Shelby Cobra in. I'm trying to line it up as best as possible here, right in the center. And you're going to want to, after you're done centering it, you want to choose the autofocus, and that will definitely help a little bit. And also, you have to have the image on the object that you want to engrave before you could focus. So, and then once you do the focusing, you could see that it changed it a little bit. I mean, as far as I can tell, so I'm doing my best to try to center it a little bit. In the upper left, I'm going to click on Smart Fill, and look, it put it on the right hand side. Now I chose Rock Slab, and I'm going to choose this shade, and I'm going to make sure I choose like bidirectional scanning, and I'm going to do the same thing for this. It's so nice that you can do you could see the rock coaster, and you can actually pick the shade that you want, and it tells you what it is. And I think that is an amazing feature. What they're going to do is increase this library. Right now it's only a few, but it's projected to have hundreds of them. So we're going to then hit start and click on the button in the front to start the job, and let's see how well they turned out. And the one on the right, that looks pretty darn good. And look at the shade, almost identical. Now that's pretty darn amazing. Now the one on the left, yeah, it's pretty far off. I'm not gonna lie, you can see it right there. I mean, there's no hiding it. So I don't know if it was me or the camera, but let's continue on to another test. This is WeCreat's Chuck Rotary, and it actually gets attached to the frame of the laser. It makes it nice and sturdy. You're gonna remove these 2 screws on the left-hand side, and then you're going to reuse these screws, so hold on to them. You have this alignment pin that goes right here, and then you're going to secure the rotary in place with those 2 screws. It makes it really stable. You no longer have it free-flowing. Pretty nice design. I would prefer like maybe some thumb screws though instead. You don't want to remove the engraving rack below because it's just going to interfere with the tumbler. And then you're going to plug in the cable into the back and tuck the wire down. And this is a Chuck design. It has a key to tighten these, and you want to make sure it's nice and flush. If you had ever had an old drill, yep, that's the same type of key to tighten it. And then you also have this guide to help the other end to keep the tumbler from wobbling around. I went back into the Make It app, and I put my logo upside down, aligned with the cup, and I put my diameter as 88 for cylindrical, and now I'm going to choose the color of my cup, and it's pretty darn cool. Now I'm going to choose my shade. I don't want to see any red, but I want nice and light at the same time. And let's go ahead and start the engraving and see how this looks. As you know, if you've seen other videos, I kind of mess up my first tumblers on every machine. And to loosen it, you're going to just take your Chuck key and just loosen it a little bit. No need to do it all the way, otherwise it's just going to fall if you're doing it one-handed like me. Let's go ahead and take it out. We got some residue, so let's go ahead and wipe it off. Would you look at that? Success! I actually did a tumbler on the first try on a laser without messing up the image. And if you wanted to get rid of more of that scoring, just use it like a Brillo pad or something. Came out really good. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, that this is basically a pre-production / prototype unit. There's been a select few of us that have received this unit for testing and to produce a first look video. Now, I would be all said and done and just release the video as is, but I really had kind of this problem, as you saw during the making of this video, and that is the camera alignment. It's just not that great. And I'm like, there's definitely a problem here, because you're slowly relying on the camera to put your image down and for your cuts, and you don't have any other source to align it. I don't know if the camera was damaged during shipping, and my contact in China was on the holiday break. But first thing this morning, my contact actually contacted me and asked me if there was any issues. So I brought up the fact about this camera and that the alignment is pretty much way off. It's supposed to be at 0.5 millimeter accuracy. So my contact actually said, well, there's actually a calibration tool inside of the WeCreat market. I said, oh, there is? It's kind of hidden. So let me show you how to recalibrate the camera, and let's see if it fixes the issue. You want to prep your area by using paper like this, or some type of flat sheet that encompasses the whole area. You want to make sure that your air assist is off if you're using paper, and maybe even the exhaust as well. You want to connect the printer by USB, and then we're going to launch the Make It app. Then you're going to do a new project and do Control-Shift-P all together to bring up the terminal command. Then you click on Start Calibration and then hit Continue. Now, this procedure can take a few minutes because what's going to do is going to engrave some pluses in certain spots on the paper. Then it's going to use these 9 pluses to calibrate the camera. Now above this, you'll see these 12 boxes that need to be populated. And it's going to take a minute or two for the laser to go through all of its steps, and eventually all these fields will be populated, and that's when the calibration for the camera will be complete. And once complete, it'll look something similar to what is above. And now we're ready to test. Now, since we are just doing a simple test here, I'm going to just use a piece of scrap basswood, do a little rectangle here, make sure it's obvious of where the comparison is. And then I'm just going to do a quick engrave, and then we'll just compare the results from the engraving and onto the screen to see how close we really are. And here's the comparison. I have to say, that is pretty darn accurate. Definitely way, way, way better than it was before. I would say that's most likely within that 0.5 millimeters of tolerance. So let's test something else. I think there's only one more test to make sure that this camera is aligned. Yep, the rock coasters, once again. I'm going to do everything the same. I'm going to do the smart fill, and it's going to populate the one on the right. But this time, I am not going to touch the one on the right at all. I'm going to use the same, engraving parameters as before. I'm going to select this shade, and that's the one I'm going to do for both. And let's see how well it does. If these both come out centers I can tell, then I think it's a victory. And the camera is all aligned, and then we can put this past us. So let's get it started and see what the results look like. And a little side note here, you may want to have like a table that's only like 3 feet tall, because this does raise pretty high. And you want to be able to reach in and see in. Now let's look at the first rock coaster. I would say that's pretty darn centered. I did a pretty good eyeball test on that, but let's see about the generated one. Well, would you look at that? I think they both came out really nice, and that solidifies it. That camera is now calibrated. Now let's continue on. Well, I'm happy to see that all it took was a simple process of recalibrating the camera to get into that 0.5 millimeters of accuracy. Now I'm no longer wasting materials, and everything is now lining up as the way it should. Now I'm even more thankful that my contact at WeCreat was able to provide a simple solution to me, and that simple solution now comes to you. especially if you watch this video. But I really hope that they take those steps that I had as testing, because that's why we get these machines ahead of time, is to test and thoroughly kick the tires and point out any issues before they hit the market. And now it's my hope that they're going to include these steps for recalibration of that camera, so that way all your materials line up and you're not wasting it and getting frustrated saying that the machine isn't working. Now, with all said and done, this was a real enjoyable experience going ahead and testing this laser, and I think it has an abundance of features for beginners and experts alike. And if you are looking to purchase this, links are down in the description below, and I think towards the middle of this month, towards the end, there's a $500 off coupon. Now, they say it's a super early bird. Don't worry, it is not a Kickstarter campaign. It's all on their website. So I really appreciate you tuning in to Tripod's Garage. Please have a wonderful day, evening, or weekend, whenever you decide to watch this video. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you the next time on Tripod's Garage.